725 BCE seems like such a great time back in history when you think about it. Castles and kings and queens, and Homer just wrote his epic poem, The Odyssey. Everything seems great. But a book was recently written called the Penelopiad. This book shows the life of Penelope when Odysseus was trying to get home. This also shines light on how women were mistreated. The men in 725 and 675 BCE did not realize what they were treating women like. Since the men at that time treated women like objects, the Penelopiad shines light on this sexism, since there were so many sexist remarks in the Penelopiad. Women are just thought of as maids, and they are treated like objects throughout the whole book. The Odyssey just describes the woman as maids, while the Penelopiad shows the hardships that the woman had to face. Getting taken advantage of, being treated as pets, and getting raped by the suitors. The Penelopiad shows Penelope how she used her wits to trick the suitors rather than getting her kingdom taken over. The Odyssey is a very intriguing poem, and it's very interesting with its adventures and monsters and brave Odysseus. But it doesn't talk about what happens back in Ithaca while Odysseus is away. The Penelopiad goes into detail about her life as a child. Margaret Atwood talks about how she does not get to pick who she marries. Imagine being forced to spend your life with a random person that won an event because they were a king or a prince that could fight, or in Penelope's case, could run fast. After Penelope is happily married, she goes back to Ithaca with Odysseus. After they had been married, he gets lost after the Trojan War. While Odysseus is lost at sea, his castle is raided by suitors who eat all their food and rape their maids. The Penelopiad shows how hard Penelope's life was to how all these men wanted her for her kingdom and riches, and not one of them genuinely cared about her. It shows light on how smart she is, and how men think that they are smarter and superior. Penelope uses her wits to make them wait, while she weaves a picture of a ship. In Penelopiad, there are not only some good things, but there are some things that can be argued about. In the Penelopiad, it doesn't fully go into the childhood life of Penelope. The Penelopiad is sexist at some points in the book, but in no way at all did this book fix it. Sexism is still around today, just in a different form. Sexism has not changed throughout time, it's still the same sexism, but in a different period. For example, when Margaret Atwood added this to the book, in quote, "Cleverness is a guilty a man likes to have in his wife, as long as she is some distance away from him. Up close he'll take kindness any day of the week, if there's nothing more alluring to be had." It's saying that a man does not like a clever woman, a man doesn't want a clever woman around him, and she should not be clever. And that's still relevant today in today's world, just an example of the same sexism, but just in a different time. Even in today's world, sexism is still a problem. Just like the BCE, there are more stereotypes about women being made and having to have a son. There are still stereotypes today of how women are just housemaids and used for birth, and that they don't need to be paid as much as men because they're not as smart. It's not just women that are being stereotyped either. Even though it is not as bad as it was 20, 30 years ago, people of the African American community are stereotyped by same as thugs and criminals, even at the Hill School. There was a student who called another student a monkey, not laughing with him, but laughing at him. It still happens with adults, with kids. We must try to kill these stereotypes so everyone will see everyone as the same person like them. Of course, they will look different from one another, but we will not look at another race or another person as a lesser person than ourselves.